This is a production of WGBH2 Boston.
Tonight, a special Greater Boston, the first and only televised debate between incumbent Secretary of State Bill Galvin and his challenger, Boston City Councilor Josh Zakim. Secretary of State has an important role in Massachusetts overseeing elections, the Public Records Division, and the Historical Commission, among other functions. I'm joined now by Secretary Bill Galvin, who has served in the role since 1995. Good to see you. And Boston City Councilor Josh Zakim, who was first elected to that position in 2013. Welcome to you, too.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, the rules are there are no rules. We do have someone monitoring your speaking time to keep things relatively equal. And as always, there's a lot of ground to cover, so brevity is appreciated. Rhetoric is not. Gentlemen, let's get started. If I can start with you, Secretary. Primary day is 21 days away, day after Labor Day. Many people not crazy about the day, and it sounds like you included. Why'd you choose it?
The law required me to choose a date 7 days from the second Tuesday. We have two Jewish holidays, one on the 11th and one on the 18th. Obviously, we could not choose those days. The second Tuesday is the 11th. My optimum choices were either the 4th or the 6th. The 4th I thought was a better date because it is a Tuesday, and the 6th is frequently a school opening day, for instance, in Boston. We've tried to ameliorate the situation by providing absentee ballots in every community. Obviously, you have states like Vermont that are voting today. Many states find themselves in a predicament this year because of the date.
Is that good enough for you?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
As Bill just mentioned, he had the opportunity to set this as early as September 4th or as late as the 18th. He chose the earliest day, the first time we're having a statewide primary the day after Labor Day. It's certainly not a move intended to increase turnout, and it's something the League of Women Voters pushed very forcefully for a Thursday in the middle of the month. I advocated trying a weekend day for the first time this year. The law gave us that flexibility. I think putting it the day after Labor Day, which is actually the first day of school in a lot of communities, is not the right decision.
Well, let me point out, the 18th is the statutory date. The legislature moved it off of that date because of the fact it is a Jewish holiday. It's Yom Kippur.
I'm well aware of the Jewish holiday.
The other issue is that we have an obligation to print absentee ballots for overseas military ballots. They must be available 45 days. The 18th would be 49 days. The chances of getting those ballots done would be very low.
How about the weekend, Secretary? He said you had the
I don't
discretion to do
believe
that.
weekend voting in and of itself. We have advanced weekend voting with early voting, but I don't think a weekend necessarily is going to result in a higher turnout. And in fact, to do that for an exceptional thing like a primary, I think would diminish it. I think keeping it to traditional days, we've had Thursdays before. Many people found that inconvenient. I think the Tuesday date with proper advertising will give people, and absentee ballots will give people the opportunity to participate.
Council, you also criticized a couple of days ago, the Secretary, for the legislature's failure to provide for early voting, which would provide 5 additional weekdays before September 4th this year, and obviously going forward. Why is it his fault? It's the legislature that didn't do it, not Bill Galvin.
I think after 24 years in office, the fact that we don't have early voting or weekend voting at this point in time is a responsibility of the Secretary of State. As our Chief Elections Officer, should have been advocating for that. Now, at this late date, after setting the primary for the day after Labor Day for the first time, I'd like to point out that in the past, Bill's office has said that it doesn't make sense. It's actually a bad idea to have a primary or an election the day after Labor Day. They've said that publicly, and all of a sudden, when the first time he has a primary challenge in over a decade, to set it on this date, I think is an irresponsible decision.
What's your point, that it's an incumbent protection decision?
I think the conventional wisdom is that it's
What's your wisdom?
My wisdom is that the people who are enthusiastic and who are ready for progressive change are going to show up and turn out. I'm confident our voters are going to be out there, but it is an inconvenient day.
Well, I still don't understand. I'm sorry. I still don't understand why it's his fault that the early voting provision didn't make it out of the conference committee.
Well, I think the fact that we don't have early voting already in the law is a responsibility of the Secretary of State.
How about that? Where have you been for 24 years?
I have pushed early voting. Every major progressive change that has occurred in Massachusetts election laws has come about because of me. Just last week, automatic registration was signed into law, working with Common Cause and Mass Vote. That would not have happened without my advocacy, without my picking up, after Peter Cocott died, the responsibility of moving the bill through. Same with online registration. Same with early voting itself. Early voting was a huge success, which I administered in 2016. Over 1 million people voted early. I pushed hard to get early voting, and it's been documented. All the emails I sent, the communications I had with legislative leaders. Barbara Italiano was successful in getting it in the Senate. We couldn't get it through the House.
You know, the State House News Service says you acknowledge you didn't even lobby the conference committee on early voting.
We've been talking about early voting from the very beginning of this campaign, and we've been working on that with folks across the Commonwealth. And to say that, for Bill to say that he has been a proponent proponent of every progressive electoral reform is absolutely false. He led the charge in the state legislature against mail-in voter registration, claiming it would lead to fraud and illegal voting.
Is that true?
35 years ago, I did not lead the charge. 35 years ago, before we had a central voter registry, which I subsequently built, you couldn't have a mail-in system. But let me finish, please. We have built that. I have advocated. I was the person who implemented the motor voter law. I was the person who built the first online system throughout Massachusetts.
Which was mandated by federal law.
Which had to happen. Many states didn't do it. I did it. For 20 years, we've had that system. We have over 4 million eligible registered voters and over 3 million registered turnouts. I'm tired of listening to misstatements of statistics. We have a great turnout in Massachusetts. We were just rated last week by the Pew Institute at MIT as being 8th in the nation best because of, in part, of our turnout and in terms of registration. So,
Josh Zakim, one of the things you've criticized the Secretary for is his position on same-day registration, which my understanding is he supports.
I'm
it's not the law.
Well, yes.
What's the basis for the criticism if he supports
it?
Well,
Bill's a recent convert to a lot of the positions I've taken and been running on in this campaign, from automatic registration to same-day registration. It's similar to his, decades later acknowledgement that mail-in voter registration makes sense. The motor voter law that was put in place, a federal mandate for someone in the Secretary of State's office to go to court to prevent same-day registration, to maintain our 20-day deadline, as he did recently in the Chelsea Collaborative versus Galvin case.
That's not before the court. Yes. I don't want to misstating.
You've been interrupting quite a bit, Mr. Secretary. So I think for him to come here and say that he has been a progressive advocate for change when it comes to voting rights is actually the opposite. He has gone to court on numerous occasions to prevent progressive changes, whether it's the transliteration of ballots for Chinese speakers, whether it's the same-day voter registration that was decided just earlier in July by the Supreme Judicial Court.
Well, let's stay on that. Can we just stay on one thing? Same-day registration. It seems to me that factually he does have a point, that, if I just may, is while you say you do support it, you did proceed with litigation, which, if I may, which appealed a court decision which would have required same-day registration.
That's where you're precisely wrong.
Where is it wrong?
The court decision would never have required same-day. It wouldn't have accomplished it. The court decision was about whether the Constitution prevailed over the state statute, that you could have no rules regarding to elections unless it was in the Constitution. So, in fact, we closed the polls at 8 o'clock. You couldn't do that because it's not there.
Why did you appeal the decision?
Because we had to have some sort of order in the system. It takes 6 years to amend the Constitution. The state Supreme Court unanimously agreed that the issue was really about whether it should be in the Constitution or not. In the litigation, both I and the Attorney General, who represented me, said we were for same day. I have aggressively pushed for same day this year, but I also was for it several years ago. Jamie Eldridge, the senator from Concord, Acton, can tell you that, because, in fact, he was the advocate at the time, and we were trying to find ways to fund it. So my presence in the same-day argument, attending hearings, which I have never seen you at a hearing ever for same-day or for anything else.
Well, I haven't seen you at our city council discussions on the same topic.
Because the city council has nothing to do with making law. I know it's a fantasy that down there.
Well, Bill, that's a complete misapprehension and insult to everyone on the Boston City Council and city councils around the state.
It's the facts.
Who are is a legislative body.
Can I stay on same-day registration just till we conclude this thing? As the Secretary said a minute ago, the Attorney General seems to have the exact same position he does. She represented his office, and she says she supports same-day registration. Does she deserve the same criticism that he does?
Well, this is the same misstatement that Bill's been making about this topic from the very beginning of this campaign. The state constitution requires our Attorney General to defend government officials, our state officials,
and she
as the defendant. As the defendant in this case, it was Chelsea Collaborative versus Galvin. Bill decided to appeal that decision. He decided to fight that, and that decision was the Attorney General doing her duty, not exercising her discretion
in
on
the
that front.
Thornton Law Firm case, she decided, because contributions had been made to her, that she'd recuse herself and appoint a special counsel. She didn't recuse herself here, so why isn't she as culpable as you consider the Secretary of State?
Well, there certainly was no claim of improper influence in that situation. It was a policy decision, a policy made by this Secretary of State that has continued a pattern of opposing electoral reforms that make it easier to register to vote. The numbers don't lie. Our primary turnout is down 30% over the last 20 years.
You don't vote in primaries. You'd know about that. You didn't vote in 2006 when Deval Patrick was nominated. You didn't vote in 2004 when John Kerry was nominated. You didn't vote in either of those primaries, and you were registered and you were here in Massachusetts in 2006.
Actually,
but you didn't vote. So you criticize me for a lower participation, but you don't vote.
Bill, these attacks that you've been making since day one of this campaign,
I'm not making an attack. That's a fact.
I think
reflect you're attacking me, saying I'm responsible for lower turnout in primaries, and you don't vote.
Let him respond, please.
This anger that you have is an example of why challenges in a democracy are so important. You have held this office for nearly a quarter century, virtually unchallenged. You have built this empire here in the Secretary of State's office, and it has led to lower turnout in our elections. We are not one of the 17 states with same-day registration. To say that you don't bear any responsibility for that is unacceptable. We have an opportunity here to elect a progressive, a proactive Secretary of State in Massachusetts, someone who has legislated, despite your dim view of elected officials around the Commonwealth and city councils and town government who do legislate every day, who do push an agenda.
Did you not vote in the primaries that Secretary Galvin said you didn't vote in?
I think in 2004 I was in college in Philadelphia. I would have to go check. I did not vote in Pennsylvania.
Why?
And I was I was a college student, and some of the opportunities that we have to make these things easier, to make same-day registration, to have no excuse absentee balloting, to allow for permanent absentee voting
2006
would be very important.
What's the reform? You said a couple of times, Councilor, there are on some critical reforms. He has been AWOL or has been on the wrong side. What's the single, other than same-day registration you talked about, what's the single most important reform where you say Secretary Galvin was absent?
Well, I think certainly you mentioned same-day registration, and I think early voting and weekend voting. Weekend voting is incredibly important. That's something we should be doing. In states that have done that, they're seeing dramatically increased turnout, as well as the no-excuse voting, letting people vote by mail. States that are doing that are doing it dramatically.
Do you support weekend voting?
Yes, I do. In fact, I implemented it. Part of early voting was allowing communities to open on weekends. I actually overrode a gubernatorial veto 2 years ago to get the money and gave grants.
I didn't know the Secretary of State had the ability to override.
Well, the legislature at my request did, and I thank them for that. I didn't see you lobbying that either. The bottom line is I offer them grants. We opened many weekends at that time, encouraging communities to open on weekends. Another part of early voting is mail-out early voting, which in effect is no excuse absentee. It's the same thing. Both of those things occurred because, number one, we got the statute through, and number two, we implemented it. We had over 1 million people vote early.
Do you want to respond to that?
Well, I would say if the legislature is so apt to do your bidding, why don't we have same-day registration? Why don't we have these things?
It requires a lot of work. It required a lot of work this year just to get automatic through. We did it at the last minute.
Secretary Galvin, you proposed that both of you take a so-called People's Pledge. I assume not unlike that which Scott Brown and Elizabeth Warren did several years ago, discouraging outside spending. Describe to me briefly what this thing would have done and what the rationale was.
It would have prevented so-called independent expenditures by third parties.
By doing what?
By saying if the two of us agreed, if anybody did make such an expenditure, we would reimburse the other party's charity up to 50%. It copied exactly what Warren and Brown did in 12 and subsequently what Markey and Lynch did in 13. And it was very effective. The fact of the matter is Massachusetts law says $1,000 is the maximum personal contribution and no corporate contributions. These entities under Citizens United have been created to allow people to bring in outside money, undisclosed outside money from special interests influencing state elections. We just saw this last year in the charter school vote.
Let me quote you, or Josh Zakim, to you. You called it an empty gesture. Why?
Well, listen, I think it's a distraction from the behavior that Bill has done over the years of using hundreds and thousands of dollars of taxpayer funds for campaign-style TV ads, taking contributions from people who have business before his office, receive tax credits and contracts. It's a distraction, and especially at this late stage in the game where we are less than 4 weeks away, where he refused to engage us in our debate challenges until acceptance just last week.
The real issue is you're going to take money from special interests. You've already set up the entity to do it.
I don't know.
We'll get to that. You've set up the You're the only candidate on the primary ballot who has indeed set this up. The two candidates for governor and the two candidates for lieutenant governor have both said they're not taking anything other than the spending limit.
Councilor
You're
Zakim,
the only one.
The Globe criticized you on this in an editorial saying the fact that you called it an empty gesture was a discouraging sign. Even if you believe, to use your word, that it's a distraction from the other things you're accusing the secretary of doing inappropriately, why not do this if it's a good thing and then deal with what you say are the other issues?
Well, I think if Bill was willing to do an accounting and reimburse the taxpayers for the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars he spent on these ads that the federal EAC cited him for in an audit for misusing those funds.
The EAC approved the ads, and they would get people out for early voting.
They did not. They cited them as
inappropriate. But one has nothing to do with the other.
It has a lot to do.
Nothing had to do with the other. This is about special interest corporate money.
Bill, you're using this as a distraction
from
your use of taxpayer money.
The distraction is what you're trying to do. No. This is a simple question. Just say yes, and we won't have any corporate money here in Massachusetts.
I've said if you're willing to return the taxpayer money you used to fund your campaign.
Say yes, and we will. won't have any corporate money in Massachusetts.
Bill,
if you don't say yes,
Bill,
then you're saying we are going to have corporate
Bill, we've
money.
continued to have this discussion. You
we
haven't
haven't had this
You have
discussion
taken
at all.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayer
You've never
money
had that
to
discussion
fund your
at all.
campaign ads. You take money from people who have business and contracts
And so do
before
you.
your office.
And I only take the legal limit and I disclose it.
You have done this from employees. You have a long history.
What's
of
most troubling on the list of people from whom he has taken money who have business before the Secretary's office? What's most troubling?
I think the facts that people with business before the Mass Historic Commission, people who are employees, family members. But what's number one, the issue is the taxpayer money that's been used from state and federal funds that has gone to these campaign-style ads that have been reported on extensively that the EAC cited for in the federal audit.
We brought in millions of dollars to investors who've been defrauded because of the information provided in the ads. We increased early voting when the EAC approved the ad. We sent them the text of the ad to bring in early voters, and we did. We got 1 million people to vote early. None of that relates to what we're talking about.
Bill,
we're talking about corporate money coming into Massachusetts.
You mentioned investor protections, and we have something that was reported on today that there's someone running a stock fraud out of your office.
That's not true.
Out of the Secretary of State's office during work hours.
He was an employee of a contractor.
Who had been there for 10 years.
As a contractor. It's like saying the electrical contractor's employee.
It was a network
Yes,
specialist.
in the registry of deeds.
This was happening literally under your nose.
No, it wasn't.
And it went on and on. His voicemail was active very recently. How can you claim to be an effective securities regulator if stock fraud is happening?
Because I've gotten back hundreds of millions of
We should be
dollars.
clear what this is. Just the thing you're mentioning, there's a federal indictment of April. He's one of the 3 guys.
Of a contractor.
If I just may, he's accused of defrauding investors in this Medford biotech. He did not work for you? No. Is that your position?
He worked for PeopleServe, which is a contractor of ours.
But your office is in charge of securities.
Yes, but he had nothing to do with securities. He's saying somebody who's hired as an electrical contractor.
For 10 years?
He worked on a per-hour basis on a troubleshooter as a contractor in the registry of deeds.
And was paid over $1 million?
13.
When did you first hear about this, Secretary?
The day he was indicted, and he was fired immediately.
And his voicemail was still active as of last week
in your office? Well, it has nothing to do with anything. He's not an employee, and he's not there.
It's also troubling that he's a network specialist, and we're talking about election security in this race.
He has nothing to do with election security.
Well, we don't know that. You haven't been forthright on this. What access did this gentleman have to our central voter file?
No, he didn't.
To other sensitive files in your office?
He didn't have any
just saying no
this is a complete,
doesn't make
you talk
any
about
sense.
distractions. This guy, if it did, we'd know about it. The federal indictment. He has nothing to do with it.
How would you know about it?
You're trying desperately to create some sort of nexus. It doesn't exist.
Bill, how would you know about it if you didn't know that this stock fraud was happening on business hours right in your office?
In my office. It was not in my office.
This gentleman received, I believe it was $140,000 a year over the last 9 years.
The firm that employed him was paid that. He was one of multiple employees.
Since election security arose, let's change that. The Center for American Progress graded all the states. Massachusetts got a C, which is not a very good grade in the era of Russian hacking. How should voters respond to a C for our state and essentially your office on this issue?
Well, there were 2 issues that most states got C or worse, and that was last year. But the major issue we have to confront is we allow our overseas military balloters to receive their ballot electronically. That is to say, they can print out the ballot, they can mail it back. We have discovered...
They said that was a notoriously insecure method.
Well, it is, and we don't want to do it. But the problem we've run into over the years is if you're in a battle area like Afghanistan, you may not get a ballot if we send it through traditional mail, even if we send it out 45 days in advance. So we leave it to the option of those serving if they choose to do that. We will send them a traditional ballot. We also suggest...
People living overseas get it the same way,
They can. They don't have to, okay? And the other issue is this. We are saying to them, we prefer that you mail it back. So therefore, in other words, it won't be cast as an electronic ballot. It will be mailed back. Now, West Virginia is experimenting with an effort by which they would vote that way. They're using blockchain technology. We're interested in what they're doing because we think it might be more secure, but we don't know that.
What's your reaction to the Center for American Progress report?
I think it's unacceptable in a state like Massachusetts where one of our natural resources, so to speak, is the brain power we have here in the academic sector, in the private sector, in government that can get us best in the nation. We should be getting A's. We should not be getting C's when it comes to election
security. What would you do with military people? I assume everybody watching the show, regardless of who they support, is invested in every military member voting. What would you do that he's not doing?
And that's something I've talked with my colleague on the City Council, Ed Flynn, about when he served in the Navy, the difficulties he had casting his vote. What we need to be doing is making sure it's secure. And I am interested in seeing what happens in the West Virginia situation. It's a company called Votes that's actually based in Boston that is doing it. I'm interested in looking at that for overseas military personnel, where federal law gives a little opportunity for them to vote in that manner. But we also have to be hardening our systems here. We need to be setting in place around-the-clock monitoring for our cybersecurity. We do not have that right now. We need to be making sure sure that we are investing and using the resources we have, both brain power, both financial, to work with our 351 cities and towns on hardening their infrastructure and securing our central voter file.
You've made charges repeatedly on the financial end that we are not using the financial resources. What are those resources that you're suggesting we're underutilized?
So right now is about $43 million sitting in Massachusetts' Federal Help America Vote Act account. That money is to be used for improving the administration of elections. And under Bill Galvin's tenure, it has not been used effectively. We have seen Massachusetts ranks dead last 50 out of 50 in states that are using that available money. That's money from the federal government specifically to improve elections administration and security. And when you meet certain benchmarks there, to use for other
I too read today that we're dead last. Are we not?
Well, the issue is we built our system with state money. We had the central voter registry. Our plan, which I created, we have to replace it. We intend to replace it after this election cycle, before the 2020 cycle. We will be using that money for that. Some of the monies are also dedicated to specific purposes, such as helping the disabled vote. You cannot mix one with the other. We bought new equipment for disabled persons, which I think most of them appreciate. We have to replace that. There are many pieces of the puzzle. We were first amongst the states to build a statewide network. Many states didn't get to it until 10 years later, after Florida, when in point of fact there was federal money necessary for them to build it. We didn't need to do it at that time. We will have it when we rebuild our system. The most recent federal appropriation, which is $7.9 million for security, we were one of the first states to apply for. We have not been hacked. We have a secure system. Despite what he says falsely, we have a very complete IT department that has people who are charged with security. We have people, contractors we pay to test us constantly, outside contractors. We have outside supervision. We work closely with HHS. We were told by HHS we weren't the subject of hacking.
DHS.
Homeland Security is what I mean. The fact of the matter is that we were not hacked, and in part because our system is not on the Internet. I have kept it off the Internet.
Paper ballots, 30 seconds.
Sure, paper ballots are great, but I think our central voter file is on
the Internet.
Well, Jim, I think you and I understand that just because something is not publicly searchable on Google doesn't mean it's unhackable. We do not have a dedicated hard line from every office to the central voter file. We need to make sure we're securing this. The Department of Homeland Security, which Bill just cited so approvingly, has specifically pointed out that central voter files are targets. We need to be hardening that. It is a head-in-your-sand approach to say just because we don't think anything happened in 2016 means we're okay for 2018 and 2020.
I've never said that.
Secretary Galvin, prior to your agreeing to do this, we would have had a guest at the top of the show, Lawrence Lessig from Harvard, who, along with former Governor Weld and David Boies, who represented Al Gore and obviously in Bush v. Gore, is suing Massachusetts and a bunch of other states, saying that our winner-take-all system in the Electoral College violates the one man and one woman, one man, one vote provision. You oppose this litigation.
Well, I'm the defendant in the suit.
But you don't agree with their argument that the winner-take-all is a violation of equal protection. Why?
I think we should abolish the Electoral College. I think it should be a popular vote. The problem
but that would have to be done by constitutional
amendment.
Exactly.
So therefore, this proposal, if it were a good faith proposal, I think it would be saying, as Maine does, divide by congressional districts. I'm not sure I'd support that, but it would be definable. If you adopt this proposal, what they're saying is, they're against that, by the way. They're against congressional districts. If you adopt this proposal, they want it as a percentage. So what do you do in a state like Alaska, where there's 3 electoral votes and the loser gets 40%? Do we get into decimal points? Do we have fractions of electoral votes?
So is your position
it
that
adds uncertainty.
Short of amending the Constitution, is there no change you'd make to the current Electoral College system?
The other change is the compact, which we support. We are members of the compact that say the majority rules, if there's 270 states represented by the states in the compact, if the popular vote is a certain way, your votes will go, in fact, to support that.
Do you agree with
I think we have found a subject of agreement. I think the Electoral College is undemocratic, and we've seen the results in this most recent election and obviously previously.
And the change that the Secretary supports is the only change that you'd support?
To go to a popular vote and enter that compact. That's something I've spoken about.
You know, I read the other day that you referred to him as sneaky and a political opportunist. How is he sneaky and a political opportunist, Secretary?
Well, I think the issue is concealing things. When you
like
conceal,
what?
Well, when he ran for re-election last year, he concealed the fact he planned to run a few weeks later for Secretary of State. So he had his constituents and his opponent at the time who were kept in the dark about that all the time. He surely knew. He'd been running around campaigning to ward and town committees suggesting he was running for statewide office. I think more importantly is this whole issue of dark money. concealing the existence of a special committee that's been created for his benefit, for only his benefit, to take in corporate funds and take in excess contributions.
By the way, do you think you were just more qualified than he, or that he is unqualified to do this job?
I believe I am more qualified.
You believe he's unqualified?
It'll be up to the voters to make that decision.
You were down a minute or so you can take a little bit extra time and respond to what the Secretary has to say, Councilor.
Well, I think, talking about how important it is to be out here, to be talking about voters. To say that I was out campaigning is completely false. I was out talking about our work in Boston, passing the Boston Trust Act, which is a sanctuary city bill. Folks around the state reached out asking for how they could do that because the state has failed on that issue, have failed to protect our immigrant communities and our immigrant neighbors. I've chaired the Civil Rights Committee on the Boston City Council for the last 4.5 years. I've had the ability to legislate on that issue, to make it easier for people to register to vote in the city of Boston, and to really push forward progressive values. That's what people in this election want to see. That's what people in Massachusetts want to see, that after nearly a quarter century, they want a progressive leader as Secretary of State.
When you say progressive leader, one of the issues that you have raised is the issue of your different positions on abortion. And as I think Joan Venaki wrote in a piece in the Globe, when you were asked by her, what has he ever done as Secretary of State that has had anything to do with abortion, and what powers does he have that would allow him to do anything vis-a-vis abortion? You couldn't come up with anything. So why do you even bring it up? Just to burnish progressive credentials?
I think it's important that people know what values their elected officials have. And when he had the opportunity in the legislature on numerous occasions, Bill Galvin voted to ban abortion in all cases, including in rape and incest, to amend the Constitution.
My position has been consistent.
That record has been consistent, and it's really unacceptable. And with President Trump about to make a second appointment to the Supreme Court, all thinking people understand that Roe versus Wade and those protections are increasingly under threat. The voters will decide what's important, but it is important that they know what values, what core values their elected officials hold.
What your response?
I have been consistent as Secretary of State and prior to that in saying that as far as I'm concerned, abortion is a personal moral issue. I've supported pro-choice women aggressively.
Your votes to amend the state constitution.
Finish and then you can respond.
I'm trying to make a statement, which you, of course, would not like me to make. I've been aggressively supporting pro-choice women for offices such as Governor and Attorney General. It's my law, the Massachusetts Civil Rights Act, that has been used to protect access to clinics when there was no buffer zone. I'm very proud of that. My record has been very clear. I have respected people and I've respected their personal rights. This is nothing more than an effort to distract, as he likes to say. He also does the same with gay rights. I voted for the Gay Rights Act in 1989, but he had one of his surrogates out there saying I had an uneven record on gay rights.
We have only a minute left. Take 30 seconds and you'll take 30. Is there anything I didn't cover that you think is important for people to know about you, Josh Zakim?
Well, I think what's important is that people know that they need a proactive, progressive leader in the Secretary of State's office. That over a quarter century, where Bill Galvin has gone essentially unchallenged, Massachusetts has fallen behind. We're not one of the 17 states with same-day registration. The fact that we are only the 14th state to have automatic voter registration, we should have been leading the pack. We need someone who's going to fight for these, not only when it's convenient, not only when you adopt the positions of your opponent in the first time you have a primary in 12 years. I'm incredibly proud to have been endorsed by the Democratic Party, by progressive leaders and activists across Massachusetts because they care about these issues. They care about someone's values.
Tell me 30 seconds of what we haven't heard, Secretary Galvin.
I think we haven't heard about some of the innovative programs such as address confidentiality to protect victims of domestic violence. We've sheltered over 1,000 persons who have been affected by domestic violence, relocating them, protecting them. Those are very important programs and innovative programs that I have created. We haven't heard about the millions of dollars I've gotten back in person to victims, in their pockets, who are victims of fraud. We haven't heard about some of the historic tax credits that have helped build our cities and towns around the state up again and created new opportunities for both employment and housing throughout the state.
I got to hold you there. Secretary Galvin, really appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks
Good
so
to
much.
see you.
Councilor Zakim, you as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Remember, tomorrow is the last day you can register if you still want to vote in the primary election next month. It's again September 4th, the day after Labor Day. Debate week continues tomorrow here in Greater Boston with the final debate between Congressman Michael Capuano and his challenger, Boston City Councilor Ayanna Pressley, vying for the 7th District congressional seat. And on Thursday, the two remaining Democrats who hope to challenge Republican Governor Charlie Baker in November, Bob Massey and Jay Gonzalez, in their final debate before September 4th. We hope you'll join us. Thanks so much for watching.